Hi, dear viewers and listeners. I hope you are all well. After Mexico, my journey led me to Turkey, a land where ancient civilizations left their indelible marks, and where history and myth blurred seamlessly into one another. It was a place where the natural beauty of the landscape, from the fairy chimneys of Cappadocia to the endless horizons of the Aegean coast, was rivaled only by the depth of its stories. Turkey was a country steeped in mystery, filled with ancient temples, underground cities, and whispers of forgotten gods. It was the perfect place for a story to unfold. Among the countless stories I heard, one stood out above the rest, a tale about a man named Hassan, a humble stonemason from the village of Gorim, in the heart of Cappadocia. The region was famous for its surreal landscapes of volcanic rock formations and rock-cut churches, but to those who lived there, it was also a place where time itself seemed to fold in on itself. The people of Gorim believed that the land held an ancient power, an energy that resonated deep within the earth. Many spoke of it only in hushed tones, believing that to understand the land's true essence was to open the door to something far beyond human comprehension. Before you start, please subscribe my channel and activate the bell button to find out the next stories. I will be happy if you comment and like it. Let's go. The Tale of Hassan. Hassan was a simple man by all outward appearances. He lived in a small stone house at the edge of the village, where he spent his days carving and shaping the rocks that had defined the landscape for centuries. He was known for his quiet demeanor and his ability to shape the most intricate designs in the stone, whether it was for a church, a tomb, or a doorway. But there was one thing about Hassan that set him apart from the rest of the villagers: he could hear the earth speak. It wasn't something he had ever shared with anyone. To do so would have invited ridicule, or worse, fear. So he kept it to himself, and as the years passed, he learned to listen to the whispers of the land without question. The voice was always faint at first, a murmur just below the surface. But over time, the whispers grew clearer, and Hassan began to understand their meaning. The earth spoke to him in images, in feelings, in fragments of forgotten language. It would tell him when to dig, where to find the richest stone, and what patterns to carve. But sometimes, the voice would change, becoming more urgent, more insistent. It would speak of things beyond his control, of events yet to come, and of forces that could reshape the world. It was during one of these moments that Hassan first heard the voice clearly and distinctly, louder than ever before. He was sitting outside one evening, watching the last light of the sun slip behind the distant mountains. As the stars began to twinkle in the vast Turkish sky, he heard it, the voice of the earth. "Hassan, the time has come," it whispered. The earth trembles, and the skies darken. You are needed. A great trial awaits, and you alone can face it. The voice was different this time, urgent, yet filled with a sense of inevitability. It spoke not just to him, but through him, as if it was no longer merely a whisper from the earth, but a command from the very soul of the land. Hassan's heart raced as he stood up and glanced around. The village was quiet, and no one seemed to notice the sudden shift in the air, the weight of the earth's presence. "Go to the valley beneath Mount Erciyes," the voice continued. There lies a temple hidden in the rock. It holds the key to the world's fate. Seek it out, and you will discover the power that lies within you. Hassan's mind raced. The valley beneath Mount Erciyes? No one spoke of that place. It was said to be cursed, a forbidden area that even the bravest of the villagers avoided. But the voice was clear, and there was no mistaking its command. The next day, with a heavy heart and a sense of destiny pulling him forward, Hassan packed a small bag and set off for the valley. As he walked, he felt the land beneath his feet shift in rhythm with the thrum of his own heart. The journey was long, and the further he traveled, the more the earth seemed to speak to him, whispers that guided him through dense forests and rocky ravines, urging him onward. He finally arrived at the foot of Mount Erciyes just as the sun began to dip below the horizon. The valley was bathed in a soft, golden light, and the air felt thick with ancient energy. Standing at the edge of a cliff, Hassan saw the entrance to the temple, an ancient stone archway carved into the mountainside, its surface covered in moss and ivy. The entrance seemed to glow faintly, as if beckoning him to step inside. Without hesitation, Hassan walked toward the archway. The earth hummed beneath his feet, and the air grew colder as he crossed the threshold. Inside, the temple was a labyrinth of narrow passages, their walls etched with symbols that seemed to shift and change as he moved. It was as if the very stones were alive, reacting to his presence. His lantern flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. After hours of wandering, he finally reached the heart of the temple, a vast, open chamber with a high vaulted ceiling. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a large, intricately carved box. The box seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, its surface adorned with ancient runes and symbols. The earth's voice echoed in his mind once more. Open the box, Hassan. You must open the box, for within it lies the power to save or destroy the world. Trembling, Hassan approached the pedestal and reached for the box. As his fingers brushed against its surface, the chamber seemed to come alive with light, and a deep, rumbling sound filled the air. The stone walls groaned, and the ground beneath him trembled. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the box, and the room was filled with a force so powerful that Hassan was knocked to the ground. He shielded his eyes, unable to see through the brilliance. When the light finally faded, he opened his eyes, expecting to find some grand revelation, some answer that would change the course of his life and the world. But to his shock, the box was empty. Nothing was inside. The pedestal was bare. Confused and disoriented, Hassan stood up and gazed around the room. The temple had fallen silent, the air still and heavy. For a moment, he thought perhaps he had made a mistake, that he had misunderstood the earth's call. But then, the voice came again, this time not from the earth, but from within himself. The power was never in the box, Hassan. The power lies in your choices. The world does not need a savior, but a listener. You have always known the way, but now you must choose how to walk it. Hassan's heart sank as he realized the truth. The earth had not sent him here to find a solution, but to teach him something far deeper. It wasn't the grand, world-changing power he had imagined, but the quiet understanding that sometimes, the greatest power lies not in what we control, but in how we respond to the unknown. He returned to the village, the box still empty in his hands, but with a new understanding of the world around him. The villagers, who had once looked at him as a simple stonemason, now saw him in a different light. They saw a man who had ventured into the unknown, faced uncertainty, and returned with a lesson that was far more valuable than any treasure, that the true magic of life lies not in what we find, but in how we choose to live with the mysteries that surround us. And so, Hassan lived out the rest of his days in quiet peace, carving stones as he always had, but now with a new wisdom, one that whispered not from the earth, but from the very heart of the world itself. Some journeys lead to profound answers, and others teach us that the most powerful thing we can do is to simply choose to listen, and that sometimes, the greatest mystery is that there is no answer at all. Be in the shelter of wisdom.